Hi, I'm Vanessa, and welcome to the first video in a new series where I use TV shows as examples of how to approach different writing topics. While I personally write novels and am approaching these topics to help other novelists, you can of course use these tips to write screenplays as well, since we're talking about TV. Today I'm using the show Brooklyn Nine-Nine as an example of how to write a great ensemble cast. First off, what exactly is an ensemble cast? It's pretty much any story where the focus is on a larger group of characters rather than just one or two main characters. In books, this would probably be a multiple point of view book like Game of Thrones or Six of Crows. While you can have a single narrator with a large supporting cast, and it is very important to flesh out all of your side characters, some of the real benefits of an ensemble cast just aren't possible with a single narrator. Can you tell I'm biased? I love multiple point of view. Let's get to it already. If you've never watched it before, Brooklyn Nine-Nine is a sitcom about detectives in the 99th precinct in New York City. It's hilarious, and each character has a specific, distinct personality that makes it an amazing example of how to make different characters stand out from one another. When you're putting together your ensemble cast, you obviously need to have that one common thread that holds everybody together. In this show, it's their job. They work together. But some other examples that you can use in your own work are they might go to school together, live in the same area, or even the same building. They might be the crew of a ship. In a fantasy or sci-fi book, they're most likely fighting together against a common villain, or they could be soldiers in the same unit. You probably get the idea. There has to be something that keeps pulling the characters together. That way you have the freedom to give them vastly different personalities and backgrounds, and it won't seem so strange for them to be spending so much time together. Now that you know how to get your ensemble cast stuck together, whether they like it or not, let's take a quick look at the individuals of the Nine-Nine. First we have Jake Peralta. Jake is really interesting because at first he just seems like a silly goofball who's always making dumb jokes and doesn't take anything seriously, but he's actually very serious about stopping criminals and protecting his friends and co-workers. He's actually extremely brave and selfless when the situation demands it. Then we have Amy. Amy is your typical smart girl who likes to follow rules to the letter and is obsessed with binders and color coding. As someone who also loves binders and art supplies, I can respect that, but I just like cute stuff, like this one's fuzzy, whereas Amy thrives off meticulous organization. But though she's a petite, harmless-looking woman, I'm gonna sneeze, she's quite tough and can handle herself in a dangerous situation. Next we have Captain Holt. Holt is the captain of the 99th precinct. He's so funny. He's this no-nonsense man that constantly seems exasperated by all the craziness that surrounds him. He also likes incredibly plain, flavorless food, and his favorite dessert is carrots. Oh, he also has a corgi named Cheddar. That's not super relevant to his character, but I just wanted an excuse to put Cheddar on the screen. Look at that little guy. He also has a husband named Kevin who is a professor, and they're both very calm, chill people who don't like a lot of drama, which makes it hilarious when they get dragged into it. And then there's Rosa, who is the strong, silent type. She rarely smiles or cracks jokes, and she hardly ever talks about herself. She's definitely not someone you want to make angry, but like her deadpan way of behaving is just like, she's amazing. She's so funny. We also have Terry, who I believe is the sergeant. I think that's the right word. He's this big, muscular guy who could not be any sweeter. He's the second in command after Holt, and he just cares so much about his friends and family. He also really, really loves yogurt. We also have Boyle. Boyle is a quirky one. He's Jake's best friend and #1 hype man. He has too many oddities to mention here, but some includes that he likes really weird, gross food. He has a food blog dedicated to strange food and normal food. He just really likes food, and he's usually either all in or completely against something. There's not much middle ground when it comes to Boyle. Then we have Gina. She's like an administrative assistant secretary type person. Gina and Boyle are both very unique individuals in their own unique individual way. Gina has the most unshakable confidence. It's almost admirable, except it's pretty much just a delusional sense of self-importance. She does the bare minimum of work at her job and really doesn't help anybody unless she has something to gain. I'm not hating on her. I think we could all use a little bit more of her unshakable faith in her own abilities, whether they exist or not, but she could be a bit much, which is saying something when I'm talking about this show. And that brings us to Hitchcock and Scully. They are the resident lazy best friends who like to sit around at their desks and eat all day. And while they are always together, they're not necessarily interchangeable. Scully actually seems like a nice guy, whereas Hitchcock, especially like the more seasons go on, seems kind of like a creep. He says some weird stuff. But there are a lot of fun moments with them, including the episode where the fact that they can do almost anything without getting up from their office chairs ends up saving their lives. So as you can see, these people are all very, very different, and just the mixture of these different personalities just leads to so much hilarity. You can pair up any two characters, put them in a situation, and I guarantee the dialogue and how events will go down will change drastically depending on which two characters are present. If you can swap out different characters in one of your scenes, and all you have to do is change the names, and everything else can stay pretty much the same, you might want to think about giving your characters more distinct personalities. One way to make an ensemble cast interesting is to create opposites. In Brooklyn Nine-Nine, most of the cast is very silly and loud. So as a contrast, Holt and Rosa are normally extremely calm and all business. Amy is a hard worker and frequently gets annoyed with Gina and Hitchcock and Scully for slacking off. And even among the characters who are slacking off, they're avoiding work for different reasons. Gina is often concocting some plan to get more social media followers or do pranks and things to amuse the followers she already has. Whereas Hitchcock and Scully are trying to eat as much as humanly possible and then find somewhere to sneak off and take a nap. If you're having trouble making your characters stand apart, also consider giving them different quirks. Now, Brooklyn Nine-Nine is a comedy, so if you're not writing a comedy, you don't need to go to such extremes with this. So a good example of kind of a normal quirk in Brooklyn Nine-Nine would be that Jake enjoys Jake enjoys singing karaoke. From his character, you might expect him to like action movies, and he does because Die Hard is his favorite movie, but you wouldn't necessarily expect him to enjoy singing karaoke, even though he's a very outgoing, extroverted person, so the fact that he does like karaoke isn't really that much of a stretch. But it's still not something that you would automatically assume about him. Now this starts to bring us into the topic of creating characters in general, and how to make them more than just a stereotype of a certain personality trait. But this video is not a be-all end-all guide to creating characters. It's more about how to make a group of characters play off of each other well. My studio lights were making me too warm, so the jacket had to go, even though it kind of matched the police theme of the video. Not really, but I tried. Because it is a sitcom, of course, all of these characters are extreme, over-exaggerated versions of people. That's part of why I thought I would use this show as an example, because the contrasts in personality are so incredibly obvious. But if you'd like me to do another video on ensemble casts, using a drama as an example of more subtle, why is this subtle? Examples of personalities that work well together in a group, let me know in the comments. I hope you're as excited about this video series as I am. Right now I have plans for videos on creating villains, world building, and how not to write a plot twist. If there are any other writing topics you would like me to cover in this format, please let me know in the comments below. And if there's something I can do to improve the style of videos, let me know as well, because I would like to make these types of videos as helpful as possible. Please give this video a thumbs up if you found it helpful or entertaining. See you next time. Bye!